What's up, friends of YouTube and music? Welcome back to another workflow session. In this workflow session, we're going to be taking a look at a beat idea, and we're going to go step by step into the mix process of that beat idea. So with that said, let's hop right into it. So here on the main screen, you can see that I already have the beat idea arranged. I also have it mixed. I started mixing it because I like to mix while I produce. So let's take a listen to the beat and then we'll get right into it. So here we go. Alright, so that's the beat idea, and let's go ahead and start with the mixing process. So the very first thing that I do when the beat has been semi-arranged and ready for the mix, I start by organizing all the sounds. So I organize by color and I organize by name. So let's head to the mixer, and I pressed F3 on my keyboard to enter the mixer. And let's take a look at each sound. So I have some of them labeled already, and I have others that haven't been labeled. So the very first one on my mixer is the 808, and it's been labeled and it's also been colored. So the 808 is purple, and the next instrument is the kick for the drum, and this has been colored brown. The snare, I also colored it brown. Clap, a type of tan brown, and the hi-hat as well, light brown. So those have been properly labeled, and I also have those routed to the drum bus mix channel. So those are all on the drum bus, and the bass is on the bass bus. Okay, so here I have a sound that hasn't been labeled. It says NM Chances 140. So I don't know what this is, so I'm gonna solo it and play somewhere on the track to hear what it is. So that sounds like the loop to me, because for this beat I used a loop, and as you can see here in blue, that loop is duplicated throughout the entire song here. So I'm just gonna rename that by double clicking on it, and I'm gonna rename it loop. I'm also gonna color that red. Okay, so I have another instrument here that says Analog Lab 3. So I'm assuming that's a piano. I'm gonna solo that and see what it is. Okay, so Analog Lab 3 is a piano. So I'm gonna double click, rename it piano. I'm gonna change the color to orange. And here we have Omnisphere, so I don't know what this one is. I'm going to solo it. Okay, so this one sounds like bells. So I'm going to double click, rename bell. And I'm going to color that yellow. Okay, so we have another Omnisphere in green, so let's hear what that is by soloing it. And that sounds like a guitar. So I'm gonna double click and rename that guitar, and I'm gonna leave it green. So let's hear the Expand 2, let's hear what that is by soloing. Sounds like a type of brass to me, so I'm gonna rename that brass. Either strings or brass, but it doesn't. I'm just gonna pick this peach looking color, and I'm gonna change the piano to like more of a reddish kind of pink tone, just so I have a better idea of what everything is. Alright, so for all those instruments starting from loop, I'm gonna route those to the instrument bus channel. So loop, piano, bell, guitar, and the brass are all gonna be on the instrument bus channel. Okay, so let's move on. I also have my beat tag. I have one section where my beat tag comes in, and for that, for this project I put it on the instrument bus channel, and I'll explain why I did that later on. That's been properly labeled and it's colored. So the next one hasn't been properly labeled, so I'm gonna change it. I already know that it's a riser, so I'm gonna put a riser effect on it, and I'm gonna leave it the same color as the beat tag. Alright, and it looks like everything's been properly labeled. The other channels here that are basically effects. So as you can see down here, it says effects. I have my reverb and my room reverb, and I also have a Pan Man from Sound Toys, and I also have an Echo Boy, which is my glitch or echo sound. So here we have the drum bus, and we have the bass bus channel and the instrument bus channel. So these other channels here are basically the filter and the filter bypass. So any sounds that I want to bypass a filter, I can put them into this one, and all other sounds that I want the filter to affect, I'll put it in the filter channel. And both of these channels are routed to the mix bus, and this mix bus is basically my master channel, because I don't touch the master. And the ones here in green are VCAs, which all they do is control the volume. So this is the volume for all the drums. This would be the volume for the bass, and this last one here would be the volume for all the instruments. Alright, so now that everything's been organized and properly colored, the next step that I usually do in the mix process is I start bouncing all the MIDI tracks to audio. So as you can see, the only audio track I have right now is the loop. And I can see this by the icon here being a sample icon. All the other ones are just MIDI instruments. So I need to bounce each one individually, or I can do all of them at the same time. So I'm gonna do a few of them one by one so you can get a good idea how to do it. So I'm gonna start with the 808. I'm gonna click on one of them and right click. I'm gonna go down to musical functions. Let's see here. It's in one of these options. Okay, it's in event. Event bounce selection. So I'm gonna click on that. It's also Control B, so I'll show you what that sounds like in the next one. Alright, so here's what happened. As you can see, it got grayed out. It's like a transparent now. What that means is that the MIDI is no longer gonna play. Instead, it's gonna be an audio file that was placed down here. So this is the audio file that I just bounced right here. I'm gonna double click it, and here you can see the audio file. And it's at just the right level because it's not clipping. So I'm going to recolor that purple. And the next thing I usually do, let me exit out of this here, is I will bring that entire sound all the way back up to the top to match the 808 MIDI. So now I can see them side by side, the MIDI and the audio. So I need to do that for the entire arrangement here for the 808. So I'm gonna click on it and press the D letter on my keyboard to duplicate. And I'm gonna click that again. And it looks like it's the same 808 pattern all the way through, so all I have to do is duplicate it to the right sections. Okay, there's a pause here from the 808, so I'm gonna duplicate and then move it to the next section. Keep clicking duplicate. I just need to make sure all the MIDI files are the same. Okay, and let's finish it up here. So this is a really basic beat idea. I don't think I use too many different patterns. Alright, now we just need to turn off all these other ones. So let me find out what the option here is for it. So to toggle mute, it's going to be Shift M. And we want to mute all of these. So Shift M on each one. And I can also click all of them by clicking Shift click and then doing them all at the same time. That's also an option to save time. Alright, great, so we have the 808 bounced in place. Now, instead of taking up a lot of time doing each one individually, I'm gonna actually bounce them all at the same time. So, I'm gonna shift click all the MIDI instruments that I wanna bounce. Actually, let me do it this way. Just the one section, because I think I use several patterns for a few of them. So I'm only clicking on the MIDI files that I wanna bounce. Alright, and I believe the shortcut was Shift B. Or I'm sorry, Control B. Control B was the shortcut. And as you can see, 12 of them are being bounced, it seems. Was it 12? Yeah. So it's very easy to bounce MIDI tracks on Studio One, and that's one of the reasons I like using Studio One. So about 5 seconds here remaining. Okay, there we go. So now it looks like a big jumbled mess everywhere, so we're gonna have to take some time to arrange everything. So sometimes some weird things happen, like this Johnny 808, there's no audio here, so I don't know what happened there, so I'm just gonna delete it. So we can see the kick pattern here. I need to match that. So let's change the color of the kick back to brown. Let's change the snare color to tan, clap as well, and then the hi-hat to a light tan color. Now I'm going to put each channel next to the proper spot here so that I can match them up together. So snare needs to go with the snare. Let's see where it's at. Down here, so everything needs to be organized properly. So all I'm doing is moving everything next to each other so that it's easier to visualize. So the clap, I'm gonna move it up, hi-hat up. Okay, we'll worry about the other instruments later. Hi-hat needs to go down. Okay, double check here. Okay, I need to find the clap. Here's the clap. Alright, so it looks like the drums have all been organized. Now let's organize the piano sound, the loop. So let's move the loop up here. The piano sound. Let's recolor the piano. Let's recolor the bell, guitar, the brass. And as you can see, everything's getting more organized, and this will make the mixing process a lot easier. Alright, I think everything's in the right order here. So now we can start arranging all the wave files in the proper location. So let's start with the kick. And I'm gonna go ahead and just mute everything here for the kick. So that was Shift M. And then I'm gonna grab the wave file for the kick. And I'm gonna start duplicating it because to me it looks like the kick is the same all the way through. So that saves a lot of the work here. So all I'm doing is clicking D on my keyboard to duplicate it all the way across. And there we go, the kick is ready. So I'm gonna move a little bit faster now to save time. Okay, we're almost there. As you can see, it's starting to take shape here. Okay, now we're on the piano. So Shift M to mute all the pianos here, all the piano MIDI. And let's see what's next here. We have the bells next. Uh-oh, something happened to the bell. It didn't record. And I don't know why, but sometimes that happens to me on Studio One. And it's probably something on my end. So it looks like the brass didn't record either. Oh, it did, but very, very quietly. Okay, so I think I know what the problem is. I know what I did wrong here. So I'm gonna remove the bell wave by hitting Shift R, or Shift T to remove that track, Shift T. And I'm gonna remove the brass as well, Shift T. I'm gonna unmute the MIDI here for the guitar, the bell, and the brass. And the guitar I want it to be a little bit louder, so I'm gonna remove the guitar as well. Okay, so the way to do this is, let's go back to the mixer by hitting F3. And I want to go and raise the volume on all of those back to normal. So I'm going to hit Control Click. Control Click is going to bring it back to 0, the volume. So Control Click the bell, guitar, and the brass so that the volume is back to normal. And now I can go back into the bell. I'm going to Shift Click guitar and Shift Click brass, and then Control B to bounce those three. Alright, perfect. So now, as you can see here, let me exit out of the mixer. As you can see, the volumes are much more normalized here. So that's going to be the bell sign. I'm going to go ahead and finish arranging that. Okay, I need to move the guitar back to its proper location and recolor it back to green. And I'm going to start arranging it. Okay, so the brass is still very quiet. Let me see if I did something wrong. No, the brass was at full volume, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that brass and I'm going to solo it and hear what that sounds like. Okay, so it's at the proper level. It just looks like it's quiet from the WAV file. So we're going to arrange that. So let's move the brass back down and color it the same color. Alright, and I believe this is the last instrument that we have to convert. Alright, so everything is now properly organized in WAV format. So now we can move on to the next step. Let's open up the mixer. And I'm going to go over all the effects and what I did to each channel when I was arranging the beat and creating it. So starting with the 808, I'm going to show you what I did. So I have it routed to the bass channel, bus channel, and I have 3 effects on here. I have a decapitator. Let me bring that up for you. And what I did here is I added a decapitator for some of the high end, and I'll play it here, I'll solo it, for some of the high end distortion. So as you can hear the distortion in the high end, I got that using decapitator. So let's see here. The next thing I did was I added a sausage fattener. I only added just to make it a little louder. And I also have a sidechain compressor here. This is the stock compressor. And I have it sidechained to the kick. So that's the 808, and let's go on to the kick here, which is routed to the drum bus channel. I have a standard FabFilter Q2 here. I took out the low end, I took out the high end, and I rose it up a little bit here just before the dip. I also have a sausage fattener on the kick with about I think a little bit. Actually, I don't have any sausage fattener. I didn't use it on the kick. Let's see here. What do I have? I have it sidechained to the 808 here through the send. All right, next one is another kick. So let's see. For this, oh, it's the same kick. It's the same kick. It's the WAV file in the instrument. Okay, so the snare now. I put in a FabFilter Q to take out the low end. And I put a little bit of sausage fattener, about 5%. Let's see, next up is the clap. So I put a standard low cut Q2 there. Next one is the hi-hat. I actually didn't put anything on the hi-hat, but I should have a Pro Q. I should have a Pro Q on there, so. The next up is the loop. And I have a Pro Q as well on here. This is a standard low cut. And I also have a hall reverb on it as well. And let me show you what I'm using for the hall reverb. I'm using a concert hall from Valhalla Vintage Verb. Very nice hall. For the piano, just using a standard low cut. And I'm also using the same hall reverb. For the bell sound, I am using a standard FabFilter Q here, low cut, and also the hall reverb. And for the guitar, I'm sorry, hold on a second. There was another one for the bell. I'm also using the crystallizer, which is from Sound Toys, and that's giving, I'll show you what it sounds like here. It's kind of nice. Let's solo it. So as you can hear, there's like a little crystal effect at the very top end. I used the Crystal Builder preset from Sound Toys Crystallizer, and I messed with the output and mix levels. Okay, next up is the guitar. And for this one I have a standard low cut. And I'm also using an Echo Boy from Sound Toys, the Arpeggiator preset, and a little bit of the output, as well as the, what else did I mess around with? Feedback. But yeah, so I have this delay on the guitar, and let's hear what that sounds like. So if you're wearing headphones, you'll be able to hear it better. So the sound is panning left and right. And it's also giving it a delay. There's the delay. You can hear it at the end. Okay, so that's the guitar. And I also have a hall reverb on the guitar. Same one. Now the brass channel, what do I have on there? I have just a low cut, standard low cut here, and I dropped it a little bit on the top end using a high shelf 12. So let's see what else. Do I have a reverb? No reverb on that. So for all of these instruments I just mentioned, all the way from loop to brass, I have those all on the instrument bus channel. Okay, so up next is the beat tag. So I only have the beat tag in the beginning here, and for that I'm using a let's see here, preset. I'm actually using a preset, the vocal preset, and I had it adjusted. I just messed it up, but I had it adjusted to the beat tag. See if I can undo here. There we go. And let's hear the beat tag, what it sounds like.
Zaandam music.
Okay, as you can hear, it has a lot of reverb and it has a delay as well. So for the delay, I'm using another instance of Echo Boy, using the Analog Vocal Slapper echo effect. I'm also using an instance of Auto-Tune. So I have Auto-Tune 8.1, and I have it at a very low setting at C minor, which is the key of the song, so that the beat tag stays within the key of the song that I'm using. Okay, so that's the beat tag. That's also routed to the instrument bus channel for me. Now here's the riser effect. Silly, because I should have a low cut on there, but I don't. So here's my riser effect. It's routed to the instrument bus channel. And now let's take a look at those bus channels. I have the drum bus channel, and for that I have a plate vintage verb drum plate setting. And I also have a room reverb, and let's see which one I'm using. I'm using SARM West Studios Altiverb 7 for the room reverb. Alright, and let's look at the bass bus channel. For this I'm using an Ozone 8 imager, and I'm doing that to remove all the stereo from the bass to make it mono. And I also have a room reverb, the same one, on it. For the instrument channel, I only have the room reverb on it. Same one. Okay, and that's pretty much all the effects that I have on here. And I did this while I was creating the beat, because I like to mix at the same time. I feel it's very helpful. But from this point, I would get a vocalist in here, try to get either a rapper or somebody who can put some of their vocals on here and try to arrange it properly, do a better job with the arrangement. Add some stuff if necessary. I would definitely add a lot more effects, a filter, a low pass filter probably somewhere in here to change it up. So there's still a lot to do in the mixing process. This is just basically getting ready for an actual mix, like the creative aspect of it. So I hope you guys learned something here today, and that's been another workflow session, and I'll see you guys in the next one, and take care.